Hello everybody, welcome back to Simulated Heaven, and we are in iRacing. I have not made a video on iRacing for, well, I'd say quite a long time. Yeah, I've kind of been not playing a lot of iRacing recently just because I've been trying out lots of other games and I just have not had the feeling to want to practice a lot to kind of do the iRacing races, if you know what I mean. But I just wanted to do a couple of laps. I'm at Road America and I'm in the Spec Racer Ford. Now I would say the Spec Racer Ford has always been one of my favourite cars in iRacing. I always really enjoy driving this car, but I would say that before they updated the tyre model on this car, it was kind of a bit of like a guessing game really, because there were certain things that the car would do that you basically learned that those things would happen, but you couldn't really feel the car, so although I did really enjoy this car, I do really like this car, I have a lot of fun with this car. I was kind of waiting for them to update the tyre model on this car, and they did that a while back. They've put the latest tyre model on this car, and wow, it makes a really big difference. I mean, I believe I made a video before which was talking about the Skip Barber and how the tyre model improvements on that car kind of, improved that car a lot. It's exactly the same with this, because the improvements in the tyre model mean that you can really feel the way that the car is handling, which makes such a huge amount of difference. Like, I can actually feel through my steering wheel, what the car is doing, so it means I have a better opportunity to react, and kind of correct anything that happens. Whoops, that was a bit of a failure, wasn't it? So that has really improved this car like a million times, really. And I actually enjoy driving this car. Like, Road America is a track that I already kind of know from iRacing. I think I've raced it a few times, and like, I sometimes feel in iRacing with other cars that when I try to practice, I get very bored. I don't feel it, if you know what I mean. But when I was practicing with this car, I was actually enjoying running laps to get faster. So yeah, they've really made some great improvements really to this car, and I think one of the things I really like about this car is it's great for close racing, because it's quite a slow car. You kind of have to learn how to eke every last bit of performance out of the car, and it's just so good for like those kind of close racing things, like, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm not explaining it very well, but those kind of races where you find a couple of guys that are a similar speed and you kind of have loads of fun, like overtaking each other and just generally enjoying the idea of racing, and I kind of have that a lot in this car, really. Now I find in this car, especially on this track, I would say third gear is the lowest gear that I ever have to go in. I mean, I always find if you try to go into second, it's always, way too high, if you know what I mean. It's not ever worth it, I think, to go into that gear. So I mean, this is certainly not a series of fast laps for me, because obviously driving and talking I'm not the best at. I mean, actually, I believe the car you can see ahead, the ghost car, I believe that's probably my fastest lap I've ever done. I mean, I'm not ultra fast on this track, because I mean, I would say I've only really practiced for like an hour, but I'm certainly not super fast. I'm okay, but certainly not that fast. And I'm going to do the same thing again. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And right there is a perfect example that you actually feel like that you can actually catch the car, if you know what I mean. Like, you actually feel like the car is catchable in that kind of situation, whereas before they improved the tyre model, there were times when it was literally impossible for you to catch it, and the only reason that you would catch it is because you've driven the car so much that you kind of learn its behaviour, even if you can't really feel what it is doing. I would say as well as like a general kind of thing about iRacing, I mean, I think that the iRacing in the past year or so has kind of lost a lot of love, I think, with other games like Assetto Corsa. I mean, I know that I keep talking about Assetto Corsa in loads of my videos these days, but let's be honest, that's like the number one racing game right now, and therefore that's why I always talk about it, because it seems like that is the game that everyone is kind of looking to and always comparing other sim games with. So yeah, that's why I always talk about it. But yeah, I feel that this game has kind of lost a bit of love, but I don't know, like, I think that the problem with iRacing is it's very much dependent on the cars that you are actually driving. There are other cars that just don't have the kind of feeling that I'm talking about in this video with this car, but I find that this Spec Racer Ford is up there with like the best in sim racing. Like, I can feel the tyres, it's got really nice force feedback, like over the curbs it feels really nice with the force feedback. The tyre model, like I've said, and the way that the tyres, you can feel them through the force feedback. You know, I really think it's up there with some of the best sim racing cars that I've ever driven, and I'm certainly going to be keeping an eye on this car in iRacing. I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to be running a season, I mean, but I'll certainly be keeping an eye on it, and I'll be practicing each of the tracks, and if I ever feel like I'm fast enough like to do a race, then I will do that, and I'll try to record it, you know. Okay, so let's try to pull over. I mean, like I said, they were not fast laps by any means. Let's just show you a replay. I mean, I do also feel that that this game has very, very good graphics in general. I mean, it's like I said, I feel like a lot of people kind of, they like to hate on this game at the moment. Okay, so I think I need to reverse that a tad, don't I? Let's see if we can go back to the beginning. Yeah, like, there's a lot of people out there that like to hate on this game, but yeah, I mean, it still has some really good cars. The tracks, I mean, I think that the graphics in the tracks are still some of the best in sim racing. I mean, if you look at this Road America circuit, it's got really nice levels of detail. It has a very, very crisp style of graphics. I mean, I find, for example, like a game like Project Cars, they like to try to make the graphics photorealistic with lots of, you know, processing and stuff in the graphics, so it all looks very shiny and ultra realistic. But I sometimes feel that I prefer these kind of graphics, like in iRacing. I sometimes feel with those ultra realistic kind of graphics, like in Project Cars, the graphics sometimes they don't really look crisp enough, whereas in this game it's got really, really crisp but really, really a nice looking graphics. So yeah, I would say that this is always a game that I would recommend to anyone who's into sim racing, and you can usually get a really good offer. I think if you're a new member, I think you can get 3 months for the price of one, so it's not going to cost you that much just to get in the game and try the game out. And then, even though more recently this game is getting a bit more hate, it still is an amazing game. It's got some really good car and track combinations. So yeah, I mean, I would say thank you for watching this video, and of course if you have any specific questions about iRacing, please let me know in the comments. And if you are a sim racer, I would highly recommend, if you haven't already, that you go out and try this game. It is a lot of fun. Yeah, so thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.